What if I told you that men crave a very specific type of pain from women, and most of them don't even realize it? Before you assume this is about toxic relationships or heartbreak, it's deeper than that. This isn't about men wanting to suffer. It's about something far more psychological and instinctive, a hidden emotional trigger wired deep inside the male brain. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Many men feel most alive, most attracted, and most connected when there's a little chaos, a little uncertainty, and even a little emotional discomfort. Sounds crazy, right? But science, psychology, and countless real-life stories all point to one undeniable fact. Men aren't just drawn to comfort and kindness. In many cases, what hooks their emotions is a unique balance of tension and reward. Moments where they have to work for your affection, where they don't feel fully in control, and where the emotional stakes are high. In this video, we're going to peel back the layers of male psychology and uncover why men secretly crave emotional challenges from women, how subtle behaviors ignite deeper desire, and why the very thing men claim they want is often the opposite of what keeps them hooked. By the end of this video, you'll see relationships differently. This isn't about manipulation, it's about understanding the hidden code that drives male attraction, the unspoken truth men rarely admit but can't escape. Most people believe that men are simple creatures when it comes to relationships, that all they want is love, loyalty, and maybe a little physical affection. But the truth is far more complex. Deep inside the male mind lies a psychological blueprint shaped by biology, evolution, and emotional conditioning. And it silently influences who they love, who they chase, and why they stay. You see, from an evolutionary perspective, men are wired to seek challenge. Historically, survival wasn't guaranteed, and men had to fight, compete, and prove themselves to earn their place, their status, and even their relationships. This primal instinct didn't just disappear with modern society. In fact, it shows up every single day in how men respond to love and connection. Here's where it gets interesting. When a relationship feels too predictable, too safe, or too effortless, many men unconsciously start to lose emotional investment. It's not that they want drama or pain for its own sake, but when there's no challenge, the brain doesn't release the same levels of dopamine and adrenaline, the chemicals that make attraction so powerful. This is why men are often more drawn to women who mystify them, challenge them, or make them question where they stand. That emotional uncertainty, as uncomfortable as it feels, actually heightens desire. Think about it. When a man has to work for your attention, when he doesn't instantly know if he's won you over, his mind goes into overdrive. The chase triggers his competitive instincts, creating a psychological loop where he begins to value what he earns more than what is handed to him freely. And this doesn't just happen during dating, it can occur years into a relationship or marriage too. Men need emotional stimulation to stay fully engaged, and without it, they often drift, disconnect, or subconsciously seek it elsewhere. But here's the paradox: most women don't realize the very behaviors men complain about, the moments of tension, mystery, and even light emotional friction, are often the same things that keep their desire alive. It's not about manipulation or games, it's about understanding how the male brain responds to reward, challenge, and unpredictability. Men want to feel needed, but they also want to earn that validation. They want comfort, but they also crave excitement. They want peace, but they're wired to respond to a little chaos. Once you understand this psychological dynamic, everything changes. Instead of constantly questioning why a man pulls away, or why he seems more attached after moments of tension, you'll start to see the hidden pattern. It's not about being difficult, it's about creating the right balance between emotional safety and emotional stimulation. When you master this, you tap into a deep part of his desire that words can't explain, but his actions will always reveal. When most people hear the word pain in relationships, they immediately think of heartbreak, rejection, or manipulation. But when it comes to the male psyche, pain doesn't always push men away. In many cases, it actually pulls them closer. And no, this isn't about toxic relationships or emotional abuse. This is about understanding the subtle, almost instinctive reaction men have to emotional tension, the kind that can deepen attraction and even strengthen attachment. At a biological level, the male brain thrives on challenge and reward cycles. When a man experiences moments of emotional difficulty, maybe he feels he might lose you, maybe he senses distance, or maybe he realizes he's not fully in control, his brain interprets it as a high-stakes situation. In response, his body releases a surge of dopamine, norepinephrine, and adrenaline, the very chemicals responsible for desire, focus, and emotional bonding. That heightened state actually burns the memory deeper into his mind, creating a stronger emotional connection. This explains why, for many men, the relationships that made them feel the most alive weren't necessarily the easiest ones. Think about it. The times he had to fight for your attention, prove his worth, or face the possibility of losing you are the moments that stay etched in his memory. It's not the constant comfort that binds him, it's the intensity, the uncertainty, and the little emotional challenges along the way. On a psychological level, men are wired to assign value to what they work for. When something feels scarce, when it's not guaranteed, the human brain naturally places a higher emotional price on it. This is why the idea of losing you, or not having you fully, can trigger an overwhelming desire to hold on tighter. The pain of possibly missing out activates a deep survival mechanism that links you to feelings of passion, longing, and need. However, there's a fine line. The pain we're talking about isn't about manipulation or cruelty. It's about healthy emotional friction. Moments where he questions, where he has to put in effort, where he realizes your love isn't automatic. This keeps his attention sharp and his emotional investment high. When there's no challenge, his brain stops releasing those powerful chemicals, and over time, desire can fade. Understanding this doesn't mean you should play games or create unnecessary drama. It means recognizing that men are wired to respond to emotional tension. They don't just want love, they want to earn it, fight for it, and secure it. That struggle, that sense of risk, and yes, that small dose of emotional discomfort often becomes the glue that makes their attachment stronger and longer lasting. When it comes to attraction, challenge isn't just exciting, it's essential. Men are naturally wired to pursue, compete, and conquer. It's an instinct that goes back thousands of years, rooted in survival and reproduction. When something feels rare, uncertain, or difficult to attain, the human brain, especially the male brain, assigns it a higher value. This is why challenge plays such a powerful role in attraction. Without it, desire often fades faster than most people realize. When everything comes too easily, when there's no effort, no unpredictability, and no tension, a man's emotional engagement can start to drop. It's not that he doesn't want love or stability. It's that the absence of challenge robs him of the dopamine-driven pursuit that keeps his mind locked in. A man's brain is stimulated by goals, obstacles, and the satisfaction of earning something meaningful. When a woman embodies a sense of mystery, independence, and emotional depth, it creates natural tension, the kind that pulls him in and keeps him invested. But here's the thing, challenge doesn't mean playing games, being manipulative, or making him feel unwanted. It's about healthy challenge, a dynamic where your boundaries, standards, and self-respect remain intact. When a man realizes he can't take you for granted, when he senses that your attention isn't automatic, his instinct to pursue and prove himself kicks in. That subtle uncertainty, does she really want me as much as I want her, activates his competitive drive and emotional attachment at the same time. This is also why men are often most drawn to women who maintain their individuality and independence. When your happiness, confidence, and sense of purpose don't revolve around him, you become psychologically magnetic. It tells his subconscious mind, she's valuable, she has options, I need to work to keep her. That effort is what makes the connection feel earned, and what's earned is always valued more deeply than what's handed over freely. However, the balance is crucial. Too much challenge, and a man may feel rejected or unworthy. Too little, and he stops putting in effort. The sweet spot is creating emotional tension without emotional chaos, letting him know you're interested while still maintaining your boundaries, your space, and your personal power. When men feel they're growing, striving, and achieving something within the relationship, attraction doesn't just spark, it intensifies over time. Challenge isn't about making him chase you endlessly, it's about keeping his instinct to pursue alive. When done right, this creates a cycle where he's not just attracted to you, he's deeply invested, both emotionally and psychologically. When it comes to love and attraction, men often say one thing but respond to something completely different. It's not intentional, it's subconscious. Deep inside, there are unspoken rules that guide how men feel, commit, and stay emotionally invested. These rules aren't taught, and most men can't even explain them. But understanding them can change the way you see relationships forever. One of the biggest unspoken rules is that men are drawn to emotional contrast. This means that men respond more strongly when there are shifts between comfort and challenge, closeness and space, certainty and a little unpredictability. When every interaction feels predictable, attraction can naturally fade. But when a woman can offer warmth and affection while still maintaining a sense of mystery and independence, it creates a powerful push and pull dynamic that keeps him emotionally engaged without him even realizing why. Another rule men respond to is the value of earned love. When affection, attention, and validation are given endlessly without any effort required, his brain unconsciously starts to devalue it. It's not because he's ungrateful, it's how the reward centers in the male brain are wired. When a man has to put in effort, whether it's pursuing you, earning your trust, or proving his intentions, his attachment naturally deepens. What's worked for matters more, and what's easily handed over is often overlooked. Men also respond powerfully to respect and admiration, often even more than to verbal expressions of love. A man needs to feel that he is valued, wanted, and capable in your eyes. When you acknowledge his strengths, his ambitions, or his efforts, even in small ways, it taps into one of his deepest psychological needs, the desire to feel significant. But when he feels dismissed, criticized, or unappreciated, emotional distance begins to grow. Perhaps the most surprising unspoken rule is that men are highly responsive to energy and emotional cues. You don't have to say a word, your tone, body language, and vibe communicate far more than you realize. If your energy says, "I value myself, I know my worth, and I'm not afraid to walk away from what doesn't serve me," his instinctive response is to pursue and protect that value. But if your energy reflects desperation or over-availability, his subconscious mind interprets it as less desirable. These unspoken rules aren't about manipulation or playing games. They're about understanding human psychology and learning how men are naturally wired to respond. When you embody confidence, independence, and emotional depth, you don't need to force attraction. You naturally become the kind of woman who captivates his mind, earns his respect, and holds his heart without even trying. What most women don't realize is that they're often creating the very dynamic that keeps men hooked without even trying. These aren't strategies, manipulations, or calculated moves. In fact, some of the most powerful things that deepen a man's emotional attachment are subtle, natural behaviors women do instinctively, often without understanding the impact they have on the male mind. One of the biggest factors is emotional unpredictability. Men are biologically wired to respond to shifts in emotion and energy. When a woman expresses genuine passion, confidence, or even frustration at times, it creates a sense of emotional contrast that activates his brain's reward system. He starts paying closer attention, his focus sharpens, and he becomes more invested. The key here isn't about playing games, it's about being authentic. The natural ups and downs of your emotions, when expressed honestly, make him feel like he's experiencing something real, something worth holding on to. Another way women unknowingly create this dynamic is through maintaining their individuality. When a woman has her own passions, goals, and interests outside of the relationship, it subtly communicates value. It tells a man, "I choose you, but I don't need you to define me." That independence sparks a powerful psychological response. He realizes that he must earn his place in your life, rather than assume it's guaranteed. The moment he feels like your entire world revolves around him, his subconscious drive to pursue naturally weakens. Then there's the effect of healthy boundaries. Many women don't realize that simply saying no or walking away from situations that don't align with their values can instantly increase respect and desire. Men are drawn to women who know their worth and won't settle for less. Without realizing it, these boundaries create healthy tension. He knows that your attention isn't automatic and that your love is something meaningful, not something to be taken for granted. Even something as simple as the way a woman responds to distance can trigger deeper attachment. When a man pulls away, many women instinctively chase, hoping to close the gap. But women who stay composed and patient during these moments often spark a stronger reaction. That calm confidence tells him you won't beg for his affection, and paradoxically, that makes him want to come back closer. The irony is that none of this requires pretending, manipulating, or following rigid rules. The very qualities that make you unique, your emotions, your independence, your boundaries, and your self-respect, naturally create a dynamic where men feel challenged, captivated, and deeply connected. When a man senses he could lose you if he stops showing up, it taps into his primal instinct to pursue, protect, and hold on tighter. Sometimes the most powerful insights into male psychology come not from studies or theories, but from the raw confessions of men themselves, the moments where they admit what they normally keep hidden. Over the years, countless men have opened up about why they became obsessed with certain women, why they stayed in challenging relationships, and why they couldn't walk away even when part of them wanted to. One man confessed that the woman who stayed in his mind the longest wasn't the one who gave him endless affection, but the one who challenged him emotionally. She didn't make it easy for him. She had high standards, her own life, and an unshakable sense of self-worth. He said, "I couldn't stop thinking about her because I never felt like I completely had her. There was always something about her I wanted to understand, something I wanted to earn." That constant desire kept him emotionally hooked, long after the relationship ended. Another story came from a man who stayed in a relationship that from the outside seemed filled with conflict. Friends couldn't understand why he didn't leave, but he explained, "It wasn't the fights that kept me there, it was how deeply I felt during those moments. The arguments weren't pleasant, but they made me realize how much I cared. I'd rather feel intense emotion, even frustration, than feel nothing at all." His confession revealed something most people overlook. For many men, emotional intensity, even when uncomfortable, creates a deeper sense of attachment. Then there's the man who admitted he stayed drawn to a woman because she never stopped surprising him. It wasn't about playing games or manipulation. It was her ability to evolve, to grow, and to keep him guessing. He said, "Every time I thought I knew her completely, she'd show me a different side of her. I felt like I was always discovering something new. I couldn't let go of that." These stories all point to the same truth. Men aren't always seeking peace, predictability, or constant reassurance. More often than they admit, they are drawn to relationships where they feel deeply, struggle a little, and work for the connection. It's not pain for the sake of suffering. It's the emotional investment that comes from fighting for something they value. When you listen to these hidden confessions, it becomes clear why certain relationships stay burned into men's memories for years. It's not about who gave the most, it's about who made them feel the most. And once a man associates you with that level of emotional depth, walking away becomes nearly impossible. Now that you understand why men crave emotional challenges, and why certain dynamics create deeper attachment, the real question is this: how do you use this insight to build a stronger, healthier relationship? The goal isn't manipulation, games, or control. It's about creating the right emotional balance, one where passion and stability coexist, where connection stays alive, and where both partners feel valued. One of the most powerful ways to do this is by maintaining your individuality and independence. Men are instinctively drawn to women who have their own lives, goals, and identities outside the relationship. When he sees you thriving, growing, and chasing your passions, it sparks something deep in his psychology. It tells him you're valuable, not because of what you give him, but because of who you are. That value naturally triggers his desire to invest, to show up, and to keep earning his place in your world. Another key factor is emotional balance. Men respond strongly to tension and challenge, but relationships can't thrive in constant chaos. Instead, the healthiest connections create a rhythm, moments of warmth, closeness, and comfort, balanced with moments of space, mystery, and independence. When a man experiences both, his brain remains engaged. He doesn't take your love for granted because he knows he has to continuously nurture it. Setting clear boundaries is another way to strengthen attachment without creating unnecessary drama. When you calmly and confidently communicate what you need, what you won't tolerate, and where your standards lie, you establish respect. Boundaries tell him that your attention and affection aren't automatic. They're earned through mutual effort and emotional safety. Men may not always say it, but they crave this structure because it gives them clarity and direction. Equally important is emotional authenticity. Don't hide your feelings or pretend to be unaffected when you're hurt, excited, or passionate. Men bond deeply when they sense real, raw emotion. It's not about being overly dramatic, but about allowing him to see your genuine self. Vulnerability, when paired with strength, creates intimacy, the kind that lasts. Finally, keep the element of growth and discovery alive. Relationships stagnate when they stop evolving. Surprise him, challenge him, and create shared experiences that push both of you out of your comfort zones. Whether it's trying new activities together, pursuing personal goals, or deepening emotional conversations, growth keeps the bond fresh and exciting. When you combine independence, emotional balance, clear boundaries, authenticity, and continuous growth, you create the perfect environment for lasting attraction and deep connection. You're not forcing him to stay. You're inspiring him to choose you every single day, because the relationship feels alive, meaningful, and worth fighting for. By now, you've uncovered some of the deepest psychological secrets behind male attraction, hidden desires, and emotional attachment. We've explored why men crave challenge, why tension fuels passion, and how certain dynamics, often created unconsciously, keep them hooked. But knowledge alone isn't enough. The real power lies in knowing how to apply these insights to create relationships that are healthy, exciting, and deeply fulfilling. The first takeaway is that men value what they earn. Effort creates emotional investment. When affection, validation, and attention are given without any balance, the male brain unconsciously begins to take them for granted. But when a man feels that he's working to nurture your connection, his attachment grows stronger. This doesn't mean withholding love. It means creating natural moments where he must show up, contribute, and invest in keeping the bond alive. The second takeaway is that mystery and individuality are magnetic. When you prioritize your personal growth, passions, and happiness, you become someone he continuously wants to discover. Men are instinctively drawn to women who remain unpredictable in the best way. Women who are confident in who they are and who bring fresh energy into the relationship. Maintaining this sense of independence keeps desire alive because he sees your value beyond the relationship itself. Another critical insight is the role of emotional tension. Contrary to what many believe, small doses of uncertainty can amplify attraction. It's not about manipulation or playing games. It's about avoiding complete predictability. If every interaction feels the same, passion fades. But when he experiences moments where he feels he could lose you if he stops trying, his subconscious drive to pursue and protect the connection becomes stronger. Equally important is establishing healthy boundaries. These aren't walls to shut him out. They're signposts showing what you expect and what you deserve. Boundaries create respect, and respect deepens emotional connection. When a man knows your standards and sees that you hold yourself to them, he naturally rises to meet them. Finally, remember that relationships thrive on continuous growth. The strongest connections are built when both partners are evolving, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Whether it's exploring new experiences together, sharing personal goals, or creating emotional depth through honest conversations, growth keeps the bond vibrant and alive. When you combine these strategies, effort, individuality, emotional contrast, boundaries, and growth, you don't just build attraction, you create a lasting connection. You become unforgettable, not because you're trying to control him, but because you're showing up as your most authentic, empowered self. And in doing so, you unlock the deepest part of his desire, the part that wants to choose you, fight for you, and stay committed for the long haul. We've uncovered a lot in this video. The hidden desires men rarely talk about, the role of emotional challenge in attraction, and the subtle dynamics that keep relationships alive. And now, it all comes down to this. Understanding is power. When you truly understand the way the male mind works, you stop second-guessing yourself, you stop chasing validation, and you start creating connections that feel natural, exciting, and deeply fulfilling. The truth is, relationships don't thrive on comfort alone. Men don't fall in love because everything is easy. They fall in love because they feel deeply. They remember the woman who made them work for her heart, who had her own standards, who inspired them to be better, and who kept them on their toes. Not because she played games, but because she knew her worth. That balance between warmth and mystery, connection and independence, comfort and challenge, is what creates lasting desire. Now, here's where it gets important for you. None of this works if you're pretending to be someone you're not. The most magnetic thing you can do is to be authentically yourself, confident, grounded, and unafraid to show both your strength and your vulnerability. When you own who you are, you naturally create the kind of emotional depth that men crave, but rarely understand. As you move forward, remember this: healthy relationships aren't built on control, manipulation, or games. They're built on self-respect, emotional balance, and the courage to express your true needs. When you set boundaries, honor your individuality, and embrace your emotional power, you don't just attract attention, you attract commitment, devotion, and love that lasts. Now, if you found value in this video and want to dive even deeper into the psychology of attraction and how to create unshakable connections, I've got something for you. Make sure you hit the like button to let me know you enjoyed this. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a future upload. And I want to hear from you. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What resonated most with you today? Have you experienced these dynamics in your own relationships? Your story could be exactly what someone else needs to hear. This isn't just a video, it's the start of a bigger conversation. And if you're ready to take your understanding of relationships to the next level, the next video in this series will open your eyes even further. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Remember, the strongest connections are built when you bring your truest self to the table. So keep growing, keep learning, and most importantly, never settle for less than the love you deserve.